哇，荧光笔都没带。景美女中周物主，
怎么写？
周对物，
还是我就是
这个物对。
他的抬头是什么？没有啊，念校长。
现场的各位贵宾，大家午安，大家好。 Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to 2023 Future Technical and Vocational Education Forum. Our event will begin in 5 minutes. Please be seated. If you need to go to the toilet, please exit from the exit of the right-hand side of the auditorium. We also have some tea and water outside of the auditorium. Please remember to turn your mobile phone to vibrant or silent mode during the forum. We will begin in 5 minutes. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the 2023 Future Technical and Vocational Education Forum. hosted by National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, NTUST. Our theme today is Thinking Outside of the Box, Creating Endless Opportunities. Today's event is hosted by NTUST and co-organized by Association of Private Universities and Colleges of Technology, Association of Junior Colleges, Association of National Universities and Colleges of Technology, and Global Views magazine. First of all, I would like to acknowledge some of the special guests who are here today with us. When you hear your name, please stand up and wave to our audience and our cameras at the back of our auditorium. First of all, I would like to welcome the Director General of Department of Technological and Vocational Education of Ministry of Education, Ms. Yang Yuhui. Next, I would like to welcome Chairman Yang, who is also the president of Yunlin University of Technology and Science. Mr. Ge, Chairman Ge of Association of Private Universities and Colleges of Technology. Chairman Huang Boxiang from Association of Junior Colleges. President Chen Wenyuan from Qingyi University of Technology. President Gong Ruizhang from Zhenshou University of Technology. President Liu Zhuhua of Mingzhi University of Technology. President Liu Guowei from Mingxin University of Technology. Vice President Wu from National Kaohsiung University of Science Technology. President Sun Mingfeng from Taipei Municipal Chenggong High School. President Wang Yurui from T.Y. Ling International Taiwan. Mr. Alex Xu, Managing Director of Pasona Taiwan. Welcome. Legislator Mr. Zhong Jiabing is also here with us. President Yan Jiayu of National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, NTUST. Thank you. We also have a lot of our dear friends, presidents, vice presidents of different vocational schools here in Taiwan. Thank you very much for being here with us. From Zhongguo University of Science and Technology, Yuda, Yadong, Dongfang, Changgen, Meihe, Zhili University of Science and Technologies, and also from National Taipei Commerce University, Chongyou University, Kunshan University, Jingguo University, and also from Muzhao High School, Neihu High School, Songshan High School, Jingmei Girls High School, Datong High School, Jinshan High School, Yangming High School, Mazhu High School, Zhenwen Vocational High School, Xinfeng High School, Penghu Aquaculture Vocational High School, Guanxin High School, Liuhe High School, and also Zhonghua Commerce Vocational High School, Zhenshen High School, Changrong High School, and Chongyi High School. Thank you for being here with us today. So we have a lot of presidents and principals from different schools and also friends from the vocational education system here in Taiwan. Thank you very much for coming here today from different cities and counties and different schools in Taiwan. With today's forum, we wish to think outside of the box so that all the vocational schools of Taiwan can band together and to create endless opportunities for vocational education in Taiwan. To kick off today's forum, we would like to play a 3-minute video.
技职未来无界限，
技职未来无界限，
技职未来无界限，技职未来无界限。
我相信现在技职 教育面临的困难是家长对于技职毕业生出路的疑虑。我们觉得学校的责任是训练出更好的毕业生，恢复以前企业跟家长对五专的毕业生的信心。
技职教育可以提供你很多动脑与动手的学习机会，
培育学生多参与产学合作，然后让学生能够具有即战力而进入社会。
现在的技职教育是技术精进强化的重心，也是跨领域创新思维与企业合作为核心的学校。
技职教育所培养的学生，绝对会是支持整个国家经济发展最重要的栋梁。
未来的技职教育应该以技术本位、人文为先，作为我们培养技职的重要的目标。
我觉得可以有3点是可以大家思考的方向。第一个就是数位化，第二个就是灵活化，第3个就是个别化。
技职教育必须与时俱进。第一个，我们要强化我们的智慧应用的课程；第二个，我们要让我们的学生具有时尚创新的能力。
技职教育培育我们每位年轻人更从容自信地面对 AI 时代的挑战。
我认为未来的技职教育应该要重视到我们整个全球永续发展17项的这一个目标。
我们台湾的技职教育在国际水准上本来就名列前茅，我们自己要有信心。
未来科技大学的毕业生，不只是他的稳定性高，在工厂里面他不会排斥，他有能力直接实务的上手，同时他更具备了从实务去了解他的工作，更从他的工作的熟悉，渐渐进到他也可以从事研发。也因为这样，让我们的企业主愿意给科大毕业生更高的薪水，这是我们台科大的责任，也是我们所有科技大一起来努力达到的方向。
技职未来无界限。
非常感谢在影片当中的各位校长。
So in this video, we can hear different presidents talking about their visions about vocational education here in Taiwan. It also reminds us of some of the things that we are working for, and that is we want to make sure our students are flexible and have resilient skills that they can embrace different challenges they meet in the labor market. Now we would like to invite President Yan Jia-yu of National Taiwan University of Science and Technology to the stage to say a few words to open today's forum.
钟委员
Legislator Zhong, Director General Yang, fellow presidents, our dear friends from different vocational education schools, welcome. First of all, on behalf of NTUSD, I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. Every one of us is working hard to promote vocational education here in Taiwan. However, we know that there are existing biases in our society against vocational education. With today's forum, I hope to consolidate some of our ideas and think about the best way to leverage all the resources we have to maximize the potential of vocational education. I have prepared a few slides to begin today's forum. This is only my second year as the president of NTUST, so I am relatively more junior compared to a lot of you here. However, I'm very impressed by all of your hard work, and I am also following your experiences to try to improve our own practice. Last month, we organized 3 presidents' meetings, and here I'm showing you some of the conclusions from these 3 meetings. You can see that we actually agree on a lot of common points. We believe that vocational and technical education needs to start with junior high and elementary schools. We know that We need to respond directly to the industry's needs to provide the talents they need. We also need more resources and budgets. We also need to establish more specialized departments and have more flexibility. Technical and vocational schools need to be marketed domestically and internationally to attract a diverse group of students. We also need to create curriculum consistency across vocational colleges and universities. We need to start with vocational high schools and to create an aligned curriculum with vocational colleges and universities. We also need to organize vocational school fairs and exhibitions to allow students and parents have a better understanding of vocational education. We also need to look at our government and ask our government to reposition vocational education here in Taiwan and to provide us with a clear path forward. We also want to encourage the establishment of micro programs.
So it's very important for us to first think outside the box. We need to promote more industry, academia cooperation, both vertically, horizontally. We also need to break the old framework of vocational education positioning. We know that we need to have more linkages between higher education and vocational education. It's also very, very important to come up with an action plan. We have now set up a consortium of vocational schools, and we know the importance of having platforms where we can cultivate more talent. It is also important for us to have a white paper for vocational education. In addition, I think we need to have more labs where we can try out ideas. In terms of adopting international perspectives to forge a sustainable future, we hope to be able to recruit more international talent. This includes professors and teachers. So through international cooperation, we will be able to have better resources. Sorry, because of the time constraint, I need to really rush ahead. So I want to thank all of the presidents in the audience. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for helping us forge a consensus. Once again, we would like to thank National Taiwan University of Science and Technology President Yan. We have 3 separate sessions today that will cover the consensus that was mentioned. So we hope through today's forum, we will have a better understanding of how to go forward. We are also very, very delighted that we have a representative from the Ministry of Education, Ms. Yang, here with us. Let's welcome her to say a few words. Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone in the audience, dear presidents, dear friends from industry. Good afternoon. I have to say that this seminar, this event today, was actually actively proposed by me. I asked President Yan, I understood that you had 3 separate meetings both in central Taiwan, northern Taiwan, and southern Taiwan, where you forged a consensus. And President Yan told me that's indeed correct. Our goal is for our university, National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, to take initiative, to be proactive in innovating vocational education. So then I self-invited myself. I said, well, can you invite me to come and speak? Because I knew that on May 10th, there would be a more comprehensive forum, which is today's forum. So this is why I insisted on being here. And I made sure that we had some important representatives from different vocational schools here. So I knew this was a very, very important meeting, and I had to make every effort to be here. So I want to thank President Yin. I have to say that the meetings that took place in northern, central, and southern Taiwan was completely on the funding of National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. The government did not subsidize these meetings at all. So the one thing we can provide from the Department of Technological and Vocational Education, Ministry of Education, is our support. We are going to pledge more resources and commitment. Then the baton is passed on to the technical and vocational schools. You need to come up with a good action plan so that people outside can understand what is the new outlook for technical and vocational education in Taiwan. Many people are still outdated. They think that if you go into a technical and vocational school, you will just be working as a common laborer. But that's a misconception. Parents are not aware of the future potential. So we really need to cooperate and let more people know that there are new prospects, exciting prospects when it comes to technical and vocational education. Today, we are faced with low birth rate throughout the world, so we need to be able to combat that. So I hope that today we will have very fruitful discussion about how we can think outside the box, how we can have better technical and vocational education. So the Department of Technological and Vocational Education hopes to work very closely with all of you. Thank you. We hope the Ministry of Education, Department of Technological and Vocational Education will continue to support us and work closely with the technical and vocational schools in Taiwan. We know that for people on the outside, many times they have a very stereotyped view of technical and vocational education. So today we have somebody who is a legislator, someone very close to the people with us. So we would like to welcome as our next speaker, Legislator Zhou. Thank you, President Yin, Director General Yang, distinguished presidents, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am so honored to be invited by President Yin to attend today's seminar. I am much luckier than Director General Yang, who had to self-invite herself. I think when it comes to technical and vocational education, I think a lot of people don't like to hear from legislators because they think they are harbingers of bad news. Well, today I may be that harbinger of bad news because a few years back, I remember when we were discussing the future of vocational and technical education, I attended a meeting where there was a vocational high school had to become, it was a school that required extra guidance because many people felt that it was problematic. Was it because the school was badly run? I don't think so. I think it is because in the past, during the baby boomer period, we know that vocational schools were a necessity. However, since we have come into the age of low birth rates, we know that the demographics have shifted. So as a result, we have had to rethink the future of technical and vocational education. So for Taiwan to remain competitive, it's very important for us to invest heavily in the future of education. In the past, we had to rely on subsidizing education. So many vocational high schools, as the one I just mentioned, they were not able to remain competitive. Therefore, I think it's very important for the Ministry of Education to think of the vocational education as a standalone issue for schools. Rather, I think we need to look at all of the vocational and technical schools collectively. 2 days ago, we had a public hearing where we talked about the difference between a degree and a diploma. Now we know in Taiwan, we know that the Ministry of Labor and the Ministry of Education are two separate government authorities. One is responsible for diploma, one is responsible for degrees. We know that very often people feel that the degree is superior. So I posed a question. In the future, are we only going to delineate vocational and technical education along the lines of you can only get a diploma, not a degree? If we're talking about future competitiveness, it's very important for us to think about how we are not just looking at a degree, whether you have a master's degree or a PhD degree, and we know a lot of people actually plagiarize their papers, their research thesis. Rather, we should encourage vocational education. It should become something that is very attractive, that people want to go and study. Only then will we be able to maintain competitiveness and will we be able to get the best talent. And we hope that for students who are in vocational education will be more and more competitive as they go into the workplace. In conclusion, I would like to wish the seminar every success, and I hope vocational and technical education can grow from strength to strength in Taiwan. Thank you. Now we would like to take a group photograph. So we would like to invite the Director General of Department of Technological and Vocational Education, Director General Yang, as well as Yan Shuneng, President of the National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. Also, we would like to invite Ray Wang, Chairman and President of T.Y. Lin International. Please come up on stage. As Legislator Zhong mentioned, that we need to adopt a fresh perspective now when we look at technical and vocational education in the future. Please look at the camera. Let's pose for a photograph. Now, a thumbs up picture. Together, we hope to embrace endless opportunities in the field of technical and vocational education. We would also like to take a short video. Please wave your hand and look into the camera. Thank you for your cooperation. We want to thank Director General Yang, and we want to thank Legislator Zhong, as well as all the presidents. Now we want to take a big group photograph with everybody in the room. So we're going to ask our photographer to come to the front. So can we ask people in the front row to put up the placards that we have given them? And for our audience members, can you just take off your face masks for a short time? And look to the center of the stage. Okay, let's pose for a photograph. Look at the photographer. Again, let's take a thumbs up picture together. We also want to wish our conference every success. We know that the future is going to be one of limitless possibility. Once again, we would like to thank our VIPs, and we will now begin officially with our first session. We are very, very excited that we are going to have the opportunity to now look at the values of what are the future values of vocational and technical education. We know in the last 10 years, due to the low birth rate and many students are not opting to go to vocational and technical schools. So it's important for us to recreate value so that we can advance professional cultivation. So I would like to invite our moderator, President of National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, to come to the stage.
I only have 10 minutes for my short talk, but first of all, I would like to thank President Yang of NTUST. At Longhua University of Science and Technology, I have served as its president for 14 years. But here, we are really following the leadership of NTUST, and I would like to thank President Yan for his leadership. For this session, we want to talk about recreating values to advance professional cultivation. So right now, when we look at vocational education in Taiwan, we have a lot of recognition, acknowledgement from the industries. If you ask human resource managers in companies, they would always say graduates from vocational schools are great, and they want to recruit more graduates from vocational schools. You see a lot of positive ratings and comments. Secondly, in terms of our government is gearing up their support to vocational education. Our president, Tsai Ing-wen, had said that vocational education needs to be the mainstream education of Taiwan. Former Vice Premier Shen Rongjing also said, vocational education is the foundation of Taiwan's economy and key to our next 2 decades of prosperity. Are we seeing an increase of government budgets to vocational education? You can see the trend of the budget allocation to vocational education here in Taiwan. You could see that starting from the year 2020, there was a dip in the budget, but it was because there were lower number of students, so there were less demand in tuition subsidies. However, you can see that although the number of students in vocational education has been dwindling, but our share of the budgetary allocation has been increasing. Let's give a warm round of applause to our Director General Yang, so that we will continue to receive more funding and more resources from our government. Here you can see that overall, the private vocational education schools are also receiving a lot of resources from our government. Right now, actually, if you look at private schools, private vocational schools are actually receiving more resources and more funding than private non-vocational schools. We also see major projects providing more resources to vocational education institutions. This is a new project called Technical Talent Training Grounds Project, where we receive some inputs from our forward-looking infrastructure program of Taiwan. In this Technical Talent Training Grounds project, unfortunately, we see that non-vocational universities can also compete with us. But we believe that for those non-vocational universities and higher education institutions, they are already receiving a lot of educational budgets from other programs. So this program should have been made exclusive to vocational schools. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is that we can see more and more government support in vocational education funding. We also see, thirdly, that there are a lot of specialized programs from vocational schools. This is an opportunity for me to show you what Longhua has been doing. For example, we have established a PCB manufacturing and smart factory school. So we can help technology companies to collaborate and to fine-tune their smart factory and PCB manufacturing line. TSMC come to our lab and say that our lab looks exactly the same as their production line, and we even have more advanced equipment. We have a lot of students in this program, and we also send interns to technology companies where they can receive a monthly salary of 50,000 NT dollars. These are our students who are interns at TSMC. Every month, they receive 60,000 as their monthly salary as an intern. And after they graduate, a lot of them can also become full-time employee of TSMC and other technology companies. Here you can see on the right-hand side in this photo, this is a millimeter wave testing equipment. Even university students from Chengkong University come to our school to use this equipment. Honghai, Foxconn also borrowed this equipment from us to do their own research and development. So we are in high demand. We also help companies to solve their problems in their products. We know that a lot of our vocational schools here are doing this as well. You are working closely with companies to solve their problems and provide solutions. So companies and industries love us. The government is ramping up resources to vocational education. Thirdly, vocational schools are also doing very well in developing specialized programs. So these are all positive news, very good news. So does it mean that everything is good and well in vocational education? Not exactly. First of all, I think most vocational schools still lack confidence. Every president or every school is worried about the loss of students, is worried about students, in vocational high schools going to take university entrance exams and go to non-vocational universities. But actually, we have seen a lot of overseas representatives from Southeastern Asian countries coming to our vocational schools and want to learn from our best practices. Last week, I just received a delegation from a Thailand university. This is one of the best universities in Thailand. And he said that this delegation told me that they are looking for collaboration opportunities with vocational schools and technical schools because they already have a lot of schools who can work with them in academic research. But what they are looking for right now is practical skills. So I think a lot of vocational schools are doing very well, but we are lacking confidence. We don't know how good we are. So the next time we go to meetings, when we meet, for example, presidents from non-vocational universities, we should be more confident about ourselves. We need to be confident in ourselves first so that our students can also feel proud of themselves. Secondly, we also realize that the society doesn't know how good we are. This is about social values. What are society values? We know that there are some news about private vocational schools maybe not compliant with the law. So this has created, a dent in our reputation. A lot of teachers in Taiwan graduate from normal universities, so they lack understanding of vocational education. And a lot of parents don't understand what vocational education is as well. So our society still has this bias, thinking that only students who fail academically would choose to study in a vocational school. Right now, there are actually a lot of graduates of non-vocational high schools who are applying to study in vocational universities. And the third thing I would like to say is that we don't have an appropriate distribution of responsibilities across different vocational schools. So what should we do to flip the current dilemma faced by vocational schools? First of all, we need to have more confidence in ourselves. Secondly, we need to increase our marketing towards the overall society. We need the government to provide us with more budget so that we can create more positive marketing for vocational education. We need to work with local governments so that parents, teachers in junior high and high schools, and local legislators and the press can come into the campuses of vocational universities to actually understand what we are doing and have a correct understanding of what vocational education is about. We also need local governments to establish specialized departments on vocational education so that they can promote vocational schools. We also need to make sure that public and private vocational schools work together instead of competing with each other. Right now, vocational school still receives more students than non-vocational schools. So we need to work together. For example, we have a lot of public universities of science and technology here. You have the resources to create more graduate programs and to actually reduce the enrollment into your bachelor's degree program. And for private vocational universities, we should focus on bachelor degree programs and also industry academia collaboration programs so that we can each do the things that we are good at. In private vocational universities, we have a lot of industry academia collaboration program. And I think public vocational universities don't need to come and compete with private vocational universities in this respect, because public vocational universities already have a lot of funding and resources from the government. So we should reserve these industry resources to the private vocational universities. These are some of my ideas, and I look forward to hearing your comments and discussions as well. Thank you. Thank you, President Ge. Now we will enter into the forum session. Here we have several panelists who will join us. The moderator of this forum will be Director General Yang of the Department of Technological and Vocational Education. I would also like to invite President Yang Nengshu of National Yunlin University of Science and Technology, also President Sun of Taipei Municipal Chengkong High School, Mr. Ray Wang, Chairman and President of T-Ling International, Taiwan. So in this session, we will focus on recreating values to advance professional cultivation. President Ge has shared with us some of his insights, including increasing the marketing for vocational education. Thank you. For this session, we would like to talk about how to create values to advance professional cultivation in vocational education system. First of all, I would like to thank President Ge for giving a short talk to open this forum. I agree a lot with your ideas, but of course, there are some disagreements. But I would like to open this forum by asking the first question. This is more of a high-level question for Director General Yang of the Ministry of Education. We know that in the past, vocational education has contributed to the cultivation of a lot of talents for Taiwan's economic development. However, in 2019, students of non-vocational high school outnumbered that of vocational high schools, which is a warning sign for the vocational education system in Taiwan. My question is, in the Ministry of Education, is there any policy that you are going to launch in order to encourage students to select vocational schools?
I think when I listened to President Ko, he actually mentioned a few concrete suggestions. So I will address those suggestions in a moment. But what I want to say at the outset is when we're talking about technical and vocational education, if you've been in the field for long enough, you know that starting from 2013, the government has already taken technical and vocational education and upgraded relevant facilities and equipment. And actually, we have also increased budget in this area. So you can see, if you take a school such as Longhua University of Science and Technology, their equipment and their labs are often better equipped than a lot of colleges. And very often, even industry have to rely on these special vocational schools. So in that way, I think the government has systematically been supporting technical and vocational schools, first through facilities. Whenever you look at a school, you will want to know what is the hardware, what is the support that they can provide in technical and vocational education. And in 2017, due to our forward-looking project, we can see that we have appropriated more money than ever in the area of vocational education. We are also looking at cross-discipline infrastructure. So layer by layer, we are providing more assistance. And our new curriculum actually has very clear guidelines of how each technical and vocational school needs to be set up. So today, you can see that whether we're talking about vocational high schools or colleges, none of them are ill-equipped when it comes to facilities. I don't think you will find a school infrastructure-wise that is under-resourced. Of course, we have an even bigger project right now that is the Higher Education Sprout project. This project is taking funding, and the funding is actually equivalent to that of the funding we provide higher education institutions. And it is targeted at talent cultivation. I would even say some vocational colleges have more funding from the government than universities, normal universities. So the government has actually been very generous in helping these vocational institutions improve their infrastructure. President Yan, he is from the engineering school in National Taiwan University. So I think he can be very candid about and compare. Of course, you can be very hush-hush and don't let National Taiwan University hear his response. But if you look at the machinery that they are using at the engineering school in his university and at National Taiwan University, you can see the difference. So I think when it comes to infrastructure, we are really putting the money, we are really making sure that we're investing heavily in vocational education. So you have to be confident yourself. You should not feel inferior when you're standing next to a normal university. They are actually very envious that so much funding has gone into facilities and infrastructure in vocational colleges. Furthermore, when it comes to cultivating professional talent, the Legislative Yuan has been asking the Ministry of Education recently whether vocational schools are just going to be a training ground for companies. Actually, even though we are providing vocational training like many companies, but we are also coupling that with a more holistic bent. You can see that we have other requirements, credit requirements for our students. They do not only acquire vocational skills, they are also full-fledged people. They have a holistic education so that they are creative, so that they are well-versed in team building, collaborating with others. Isn't that the best kind of employee companies are looking for? So let's be confident first in ourselves. We need to do our best in running our vocational schools. But we have to know that we are moving in a positive direction. So if we continue to have this confidence, we need to know that the outside world will also change its perception of vocational and technical education in Taiwan. We also need to invite more parents and teachers, high school teachers, to come to our vocational colleges and schools. Last year in Tainan, we had a test site where we invited members from industry as well as high school teachers and parents to actually come and look at what we are doing. Many companies are actually very, very competitive. You may not have heard their name, but we invited parents as well as high school teachers to visit these companies. We also invited them to come to our vocational and technical colleges and schools so that together we can change people's perception. We need to have parents and high school teachers have a better understanding of the future of vocational and technical education. We know that students are individuals and each student has their own individual path, but we do want students to consider the vast potential in vocational education. So let me just stop here for now. Thank you, Director General Yang. Indeed, I think in terms of infrastructure, we do have more funding now, but sometimes we are limited in terms of space. I have another question. I would like to ask President Yang to answer this question from the point of a school or a college. I think for us, we cannot really be responsible for changing society's attitudes. For us, we're just hoping to help every student so that we can provide them with the best education possible. So when I had a meeting with Director General Yang, I realized that in Northern Ireland, the Ministry of Economics was responsible for education. Oh, actually, yeah. Some people have been advocating for vocational education to be under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Labor. Would you prefer that? Because we have to admit that vocational education is so important for national development. So as we run our various schools, we cannot change social attitudes. We can only do our best in managing our schools. I myself, I have been teaching for over 30 years. And we had a round table recently where we invited graduates who have left the school for 15 years and to see where they are. And they all remember things their teachers told them years ago. And I often tell students in the area of public administration that when you are 30 years old, you should be able to make over $1 million. If you don't hit $1 million a year, you are going to be left behind, I think. I remember a South Korean delegation visited us, and they cited an example of wages in South Korea, and we were shocked. So I think you can understand that I think numbers, money speaks, and that's a very real indication of technical and vocational education. I have a student who was working at Micron, and they mentioned that they were laid off. So I think you have to know that this is a very competitive field, and employers will only pay you if you are competitive, and work, of course, is very, very tough, heavy workload. If we look at our graduates, they are making a decent salary, and at the Yunlin, the National Yunlin University of Science and Technology, we have seen that when it comes to job fairs, many people want to recruit our students. Actually, they have better employability than college students from normal universities. So actually, for myself, I just think we just need to focus on what we're doing and do it well. My biggest problem right now is whether they can get married. That's without a wife, I think, you know, if you don't have a spouse, that's a problem. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Okay. I don't think you need to worry. If the wages you cite, they're very, very appealing, so they should be able to marry off. To President Ko. Okay, talking about wages, recently we've tried to enroll more students, attract more students, and we have a different scenario because we went to a high school, a vocational high school in Santong, and we cited an example of a graduate that had already graduated from this school and then went to Department of Department of Engineering at Longhua University of Science and Technology. Then he graduated. Do you know now? He's graduated 12 years from our school. Do you know how much his annual salary? It has surpassed 3 million Taiwan dollars. And we also have people who have master's degrees, then they go to National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. 8 years after graduation, they go to TSMC, and their annual income is also surpassed 2 million just in 8 years. So graduates of vocational and technical colleges are very, very competitive. The outside world has no idea what the true situation is. Of course, we are also faced with a lot of resistance. If you go to private vocational colleges, you will see that they have many, many red banners where they have congratulations. Our student has made it to National Taiwan University of Science and Technology or some of the first-rate colleges. And so for a lot of vocational high schools, we know that in the past, they would compete. They would feel inferior when their child did not get into one of the top first-rate high schools. But today, if you look at longer-term return and prospects, our students are not lagging behind. So when it comes to public perception, that's not something you can resolve in the short run. But we need to let the outside world be more aware of what is actually happening. So this is why in my presentation, I mentioned we are falling short when it comes to promotion and marketing. even my college, this is what I'm focusing on. To change people's mindset takes time. We should also change the questions we're asking. We shouldn't ask, oh, what is the graduation rate? You mustn't think that if you have a high school that has many students that get into medical school at National Taiwan University, then you're a great high school. No, those statistics don't matter so much anymore. I graduated from a top high school, and so many years later, I am only a president of a university. But today, we can see a lot of graduates from science and technology, from vocational colleges that are running companies. They are truly outstanding alumni.
So we know that a lot of successful entrepreneurs didn't necessarily excel in academic achievements when they were studying. So I know it's very difficult to break through the biases and the stereotypes of the society, but we need to work hard. And we know that we should not ignore the potentials of students in vocational education system. And we also know that if you choose the right path for yourself, there are a million ways to success. Right now, we are, funding different tours for junior high and high school teachers to come to our school. We are now inviting, teachers from Taichung area to come to our school to have a tour. It's very difficult for national vocational universities to understand the need of private vocational universities for doing so. So marketing is very important, promotion is very important, and we need more central government support in this. And we also know that junior high and high school teachers sometimes discriminate between schools as well. They are very willing to go and visit a national vocational universities, but they probably are very reluctant to come to private vocational universities like us. But I think if we continue to work on outreach programs, we can change this situation. Yesterday, I received a delegation from a private high school of Taichung. The principal, after the tour, asked me to go to their school next week to have a lunch with their teachers so that they can get to know us better. So as long as they come to our school and campus, they would find our value. But we need the funding to help us to do so for these outreach programs. Longhua is relatively more well off, but I know that a lot of private vocational universities are struggling in this. Thank you, President Ge. Now I would like to talk to the Principal Sun from Chenggong High School. Chenggong High School is a non-vocational high school, but we know that they don't discriminate against vocational universities. Thank you, President Yan, Director General Yang, President Ge, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I think I am not the mainstream here because I'm from a non-vocational high school. Chenggong High School has 800 graduates per year. Last year, 122 of them applied for vocational universities. That's 15%. That's a pretty high number in high schools. And 32 of them ended up in a vocational university, 17 of them enrolled in NTUST. This statistic and the percentage of Chenggong graduates going to vocational education system is pretty consistent across the years. And we continue to follow up our graduates' career path, and we can find that they are all very satisfied with the education they have received in the vocational universities. I think this has to do with the activities that they are exposed to when they are studying in Chenggong High School. Actually, there is a vocational university that's very close to Chenggong High School. We also have part-time teachers who are actually teaching in these vocational universities. So ever since the new curriculum guideline of 12-year basic education went into effect, we have invited a lot of vocational university teachers to come to our campus to host specialized programs, credit programs. We also allow our students to go to these vocational universities so that they can see the most advanced infrastructure and facilities these universities have. So there are a lot of close collaborations between vocational universities and our high school. A lot of our graduates end up in science and engineering major when they go into universities. So that's why whenever a professor from vocational university open a course in Chenggong High School, all the seats are taken immediately. In recent years, we have also started working with NTUST so that some STEM clubs of Chenggong High School can actually have their club meetings in NTUST and enjoy the state-of-the-art facilities of NTUST. So I believe that vocational universities should ramp up their efforts in outreaching to high schools and also host and organize programs or lessons in high schools. As part of these special lessons or programs, they can also open up their campuses and classrooms to high school students. So the high school students understand the values of vocational universities. We know that vocational universities and industries are the pioneers in technological advancement of Taiwan's development. And these technological advancement is part of these students' everyday life. So if these students are allowed to see, how these advancements happen in vocational universities and in the industry, they will feel more interested in choosing this route. Thank you. Thank you, Principal Sun. Chenggong High School enjoys special advantages, actually. We know that it's important for us to outreach to high schools, to, for example, organize or open up new courses or offer courses to high school students. But at the same time, we also need to make sure we have all the resources and have a good collaborating partner. Now I would like to move on to the industry's perspective. Mr. Ray Wang is from TY Lin International Taiwan. Mr. T.Y. Lin is a very well-known engineering consultant in the world, and T.Y. Lin International Taiwan has construction programs across the world, including the MRT system here in Taiwan. So I would like to invite Chairman Ray Wang to say a few words. Thank you. I'm an alumni of NTUST, so I'm very happy to be back here today. We have talked a lot about the difficulties vocational schools are faced with in Taiwan. And we are also talking about how to think outside of the box and create new opportunities for vocational schools. I graduated from a vocational school, so I feel deeply about this topic. I also understand that our society has a lot of biases or stereotypes that cannot be changed overnight. This is a reality that we live with every day. I'm working in the construction industry, and I think, as you know, construction is the foundation of our modern life. Even with the IT industry, when TSMC needs a new foundry, it needs construction companies. When employees commute, they use highways, MRT systems. People need to live in safe buildings and homes. We also need ports and airports to facilitate logistics services. So all of these need construction. We know that vocational schools is a very important breeding ground for talents of our economy. Vocational schools are important, but a lot of people don't know that. The construction industry faced the same dilemma. We are very important in giving everybody a modern lifestyle, but very few people understand our importance. So I think working in the construction industry, I am living with the same reality of vocational schools. In construction industry, we're also faced with the challenge of low birth rate. In addition to that, we are also struggling in finding suitable talents. We know that faced with these challenges, vocational schools have a new opportunity to create values. Our industry is in high demand of skilled talents. In the past, people thought that vocational schools are cultivating laborers or blue-collar workers. But we know that there are a lot of engineers and that are needed by different industries, and a lot of these engineers got their training in vocational schools. I was talking to some of the guests in today's conference, and we were saying that a lot of successful entrepreneurs in Taiwan are also graduates of vocational schools. If you look at mayors, deputy mayors of different cities and counties, they are also graduates and alumni of vocational schools. So let's look into the future. Let's take these challenges as opportunities for transformation. We know that the line between vocational universities and non-vocational universities is blurring. So it's important that vocational schools think about how to make ourselves different and to create more specialized expertise and programs. And I believe one of the specialties of vocational schools is their close communication and collaboration with the industry, so that students can gain hands-on experiences when they're studying in vocational schools and can make sure that their skills are aligned with the need of the industry. I think this is a very important value of vocational schools and also a very important driver for students to choose vocational schools. Indeed, being practical, hands-on, collaboration with the industry, these are some of the key words for vocational schools. But we know that a lot of non-vocational universities are also doing these. We have a lot of presidents here, and I know that a lot of you probably started your academic career in a non-vocational university as a professor, and then you move on to the vocational education system. But so you know very well that a lot of non-vocational universities are also talking about collaborating with the industry, having internship program as part of their degree program. So what should vocational schools do in this situation? Be it a non-vocational university or a vocational university, I think higher education institutions have the same goal, and that is we want to make sure our graduates can find a place where they can contribute to the society after they graduate. Just like what Mr. Ray Wang has said, in an industry or in a company, there are different positions, each position requiring different skill sets. It's a combination of these different talents and different skill sets that can make a company or industry successful. If you look at the courses and curriculum of vocational high schools and vocational universities, you can find that these curriculums gear towards hands-on experiences. So students who enrolled in vocational high schools and then moving on to vocational universities, they will have very consistent and very solid training in hands-on skills. This means that these graduates from the vocational education system will have more solid technical skills compared to graduates of non-vocational universities. Yes, non-vocational universities also have internship programs. They have the so-called hands-on trainings. But in terms of the depth of these hands-on skills training, it's definitely inferior compared to what we are doing in vocational education system. So I think we need to be confident in ourselves.
If we look at connections with industry, that's another advantage we have in vocational education. For non-vocational universities, graduates also need to end up finding a job. I think employability is important for all college graduates, but they will be responsible for very different types of jobs. So we are going to be the pillars of the technical jobs. And some college students may end up being in managerial positions. But the students that we cultivate, I think we have to be confident that they are going to be middle to high-level technical managers. Many of you here will agree with me that vocational education creates problem solvers. And this is very valuable. It is such an important skill. So don't think of yourself as being inferior to non-vocational universities. You have different strengths. I would like to ask President Ko, because we don't have much time left, can you talk a little bit about what are you planning to do at your school to, in the face of competition from non-vocational universities? I think for a lot of private universities, even if there are normal universities, they are also faced with great challenges. Everybody is in a race against survival. So I think rather than look at numbers per se, you should know that we are all in the same predicament because of the low birth rate. We are all in a common predicament. So it's very important for us to first know what is the positioning of vocational education. For us, we're not trying to chase after ranking is not one of our top priorities. It's important for us that our graduates are employable, that they are well received by businesses. And when we talk about normal universities, they are more research-style, research-driven universities. And when it comes to faculty, we know that it's important to have industry experience if you are going to work at a vocational school. Even if you wrote 100 theses or papers, that doesn't mean you can work for us, because what we value is actual on-hand work experience. And it's important for us to give our faculty incentives. We spent $24 million in terms of incentivizing our faculty last year. We also have facilities that are very high-end. This was mentioned by Director General Yang earlier. And I have to say, it's true. Today, a lot of our labs are state-of-the-art labs. When you look at the semiconductor testing and packaging facilities that we have, we can say with pride that we are one of the best equipped colleges, at least facilities-wise, in the whole of Asia. So I think it's very important for us to look at also curriculum in addition to infrastructure. It's very important for us to provide courses and classes that are useful. So today, the last mile is really how we can bring internship opportunities into vocational colleges. For non-vocation colleges, they are often faced with the predicament of college of industry not really needing, or they're not able to utilize these students, whereas I think our students often are ready for internship opportunities. If you look at engineering students from vocational colleges, you will be able to see that they are highly employable. So today, it's the first time that the University of Science and Technology has hosted such a seminar, but I'm sure this is the first of many. I would also now ask President Yang to say a few words. How do we get out of the predicament? Are you asking what is the momentum for vocational education? Actually, I think our role has always been to facilitate industrial development. From the 50s to the 60s, Taiwan already focused on industrial development. And then we went into manufacturing. Today, we are moving into the more high-tech, more intelligent sector. And in terms of vocational education, we had vocational high schools and then 2-year vocational colleges, 3-year vocational colleges, all the way up to 4- and 5-year. So we have been side by side with the nation's industrial development policy. And I think that trend is going to continue. So there's nothing, I think, to worry about. A lot of people are worried about outside perception. But actually, what is more important? I think, where's the beef? That's more important. And I think parents today, they talk about the importance of education. Many of them are hippies in their youth, so they place great value on a good education. But you can see that slowly people are changing. Like you can have a great education but be unemployable. So people need to change their mindset. I think in the future, maybe students out of vocational colleges will have higher pay than students from non-vocational colleges. So for high school students, how do they see vocational universities? Okay, I will talk about this issue from the viewpoint of high school students. I think if you are very clear in your aptitude, you are more likely to choose a vocational university because vocational universities have very specialized fields. However, if you're not so sure about your aptitude, you will probably then choose non-vocational university. You will probably try and experiment and see where you fit in. However, if you're quite clear about your aptitude, then you're very, very likely to choose a more specialized school, a vocational university. Secondly, students also think about employment opportunities. This is a medium to long-term goal. They do care about career development. They want to know how they can live a good life. So if you continue to improve their language skills, give them a more international outlook, a worldview, then I think when it comes to employability, they will realize that there are many other options out there other than a conventional university. So students, I think they have midterm to long-term goals that we can tap into. The third thing I think it's very important is the experience of alumni or people who have graduated. I feel like when they return and share their experience, this has a huge influence on our students. We know that very often a lot of students who go to science and technology universities mainly come from vocational high schools. So they want to know, what is it like? Am I able to fit in? And what were the job prospects that you had? This kind of experience sharing is really useful to students. I think sometimes what parents say, students don't really take to heart because they feel it's so far down the line. But what their peers and what the graduates tell them, I think they often will listen attentively. Thank you. I think that's a very good point. We know that career development is a process. So a lot of times we are looking at many, many different paths. So Chairman Ray Wong, how are companies looking at our graduates? What kind of graduates should we be churning out? I think if we're looking at the construction business, we feel that vocational universities, their graduates are of the same caliber as that of normal universities, comprehensive universities. There isn't a sense of one being more superior than the other. Our company is in construction, so we have to look at all sorts of specialized areas, including wind power, offshore wind power. And we need people who can solve problems, people who are practical, who are project managers. So when we are recruiting engineers, we do not discriminate. Oh, do you come from a non-vocational comprehensive university? In even my own experience, I can attest to the fact that my experience at a vocational college was very helpful. I knew right away how to design a bridge. Conceptually, I knew what I was doing. I knew the kind of tools that I needed to use for design. I also knew how to come up with the graphics, a blueprint for design. So very often we are more suited to be an engineer than somebody who comes out of a comprehensive university. So from the perspective of business, we do not see a difference between the two types of universities. Thank you, Chairman Wang. I'm sure many of you now have food for thought and you have more insights. Due to the time constraint, I'm sorry, but we have gone on for a little too long. So now we will close the session. Thank you. We want to thank all of our panelists, and please move to the center of the stage so that we can take a group photograph together. Our two presidents, please, can Director General Yang stand right in the middle between our two presidents. Now let's pose for a beautiful picture. We know that this is just the beginning. There will be many more such panels. Education is a grand design, so we cannot flip education overnight, but we are on the path of growth and change. So once again, we want to thank our panelists as well as our moderator and Chairman Wang. So we could feel very clearly that there is a lot of enthusiasm when it comes to the future of vocational education. We need different viewpoints. We need to look at how private universities, public universities are operating and learn from them. From the vocational education perspective, we learned from our panelists that our advantage is we have extensive hands-on experience. However, we are lagging behind when it comes to marketing and promotion. And this is also why we're working with Global View magazine today. By leveraging the power of media, we will be able to market ourselves better. We will be able to reach our target audience, be it students or parents. And through more exchanges, we will be able to explain what our characteristics or unique qualities are. In the next session, we are going to be looking at how we can go outside the box to cultivate unlimited talents. So we are very pleased to first hear from Zhengzhou University of Science and Technology, President Gong.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to talk about how to break from the current framework to cultivate unlimited talents. I would like to begin with looking back on the development of vocational education in Taiwan. The development of vocational education system is closely related to our national policies as well as economic development. In the 1950s and 1960s, in Taiwan, it was the agriculture that was the biggest industry. So we could see that the percentage of students enrolling in vocational high schools and in comprehensive high schools is about 4 to 6. In the 1970s and 1980s, we started to see industries developing. The overall economy has been changing and taking off. So the number of vocational high schools and universities increased. There were 50 more vocational high schools and universities in the 1970s and 1980s. So the number of students in vocational high schools and comprehensive schools became about 6 to 4. In the 1980s, it was the beginning of a 9-year compulsory education in Taiwan. So the number of vocational high school students versus students in high schools was 7 to 3. And then in the 1990s, a lot of vocational junior colleges were upgraded to vocational universities. So this affected the recruitment in vocational high schools, and the number of students in vocational high schools versus that of high schools became 5 to 5. In the 2000s, more students continued their education in high schools. And then in the 2010s, there were new changes as well. The number of vocational high school students versus that in high schools became 6 to 4. Right now, because of low birth rate, we have fewer number of students in Taiwan. So we believe that in the future, we will see yet another change of the ratio of high school students in vocational high schools versus non-vocational high schools. Actually, in 2019, we saw that the number of students in vocational high schools equals that of non-vocational high schools. And the latest statistics of last year show that high school, non-vocational high school have more students than vocational high schools. Low birth rate is going to continue. We are going to have lower number of students, and I believe that in the future, the ratio of vocational high school students to high school students will be once again 4 to 6. So low birth rate really is a very big challenge to all the vocational schools. This is the roadmap of vocational education here in Taiwan. So starting from high school all the way up to higher education, we actually learned a lot from the German model, where we have vocational high schools. We also have junior colleges and senior colleges. We also have graduate programs in vocational universities. So as long as you want to develop more specialized skills and enter into the vocational system, you have all sorts of programs and degree programs that you can choose from. We also offer a lot of continuing education because we know a lot of employees who are already working. Maybe when they were younger, they didn't have the opportunity to continue with their higher education. Now, after a while, after working for a while, they can return to schools to receive continuing education. We know that vocational school graduates are very welcomed by our industry because we have been working in close collaboration with the Ministry of Education to make sure that student skills align with the industry need. So the Ministry of Education has launched, for example, Vocational Education Reformation Program and other programs that optimize the infrastructure and facilities of vocational schools. So graduates of vocational schools now have skills that are fully aligned with the industry's need. And we also create a lot of tailor-made curriculum for our industries. We know that in today's society, there are a lot of technological advancements. There is also a variety of emerging challenges. So it's important that our students have flexible skills and interdisciplinary knowledge. So we need to make sure that in schools, we also engage in interdisciplinary learning and teaching. I know that every school has a different approach, but in Zhenshou, we start with reforming our curriculum design. We now require every university student of Zhenshou to finish the study of a credit program that's different from their major. So before they graduate from Zhenshou University, they must also finish the study of a credit program that's in a discipline that's different from their major. In National Taiwan University, they are also allowing students to mix and match different courses from different departments to create their own unique curriculum. Fengjia University is also doing similar thing so that everyone can tailor-made a curriculum for themselves. We also work closely with the industry and companies to provide internship programs for our students. This is a forte of vocational schools. These internships provide hands-on experiences for our students. We also have outreach programs. We have special graduate programs for current employees. We also have specialized programs for overseas Chinese students and migrant workers. We also have a post-bachelor's special program for STEM studies. We also have industry academia collaboration program where once you are enrolled in our school, you also begin your job in a company at the same time. These programs offer interdisciplinary teachings and lessons for our students. Let me give you a few examples from our schools. For example, in terms of industry-academia collaboration program, we work with Chang'e Memorial Hospital to engage in collaboration in research in medical engineering. We also have specialized program that we organize with the Security Exchanges of Taiwan and also with the Sustainable Energy Research Foundation of Taiwan. We have our technical talent training grounds for CNC machining. This has cultivated a lot of high-skilled professionals in CNC machining. We also work with Chengkou University, National Sen Yat-sen University, and other universities in neighboring areas to provide training in CNC machining skills. We also create tailor-made programs for teachers and students in these different universities. We work with Wenzhou Foreign Language University to cultivate EMI teachers and to improve the English proficiency of our students. We want to make sure that we provide students with a diverse set of skills for a more innovative future. We also make sure that our courses align with our national policies, including the 6 emerging industries, 4 intelligent industries, 5+2 industries, and 6 national core strategic industries. By doing this, we can continue to supply talents and skill sets that meet the demand of our economy's development. Thank you very much.
Thank
you, President Gong. Now we would like to enter the panel discussion for our second section. Here, I would also like to invite President Liu Zuhua from Mingzhi University of Technology, Mr. Alex Xu, Managing Director of Pasona, Taiwan, and Principal of Taipei Municipal Da'an Vocational High School, Mr. Yang Yiqiang. The moderator of this session is Vice President of National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology, Mr. Zhong Xingwu. In this session, in the panel, we are going to talk about how to align our student skills with industry needs and demands. So the floor is yours, our moderator. Thank you. Thank you, President Gong, for your short talk. You have provided us with your insights in creating talents that have interdisciplinary skills and knowledge. So let's begin the panel of this second section. This is a great opportunity for us to hear from representatives of vocational universities as well as industries. First of all, I have a question for President Gong and President Liu. We know that a lot of students in vocational education system have a very clear idea about their future career and career path. However, we also understand that our society today is looking for diverse skill sets and the ability to engage in interdisciplinary collaboration. So I would like to ask President Gong and President Liu, how do you make sure that you reform your curriculums so that students have more opportunities to engage in interdisciplinary learnings? We have launched a lot of programs that allow interdisciplinary learnings. We also focus on the learning of different software tools. We know that these students will enter the labor force very quickly after graduation. So we need to train them on the ethics. This is very important. And we also need to make sure that they are resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks. I think a lot of companies know that vocational school students are not afraid of setbacks, that they always come back after failures. So these are things that we try to impart on students in our courses and curriculum. We also educate our students on work ethics so that they know they need to be held accountable, they need to be responsible for their work, and put up with their best effort. So for example, our CNC machining training ground, we know that they master their skills in CNC machining in our school, and companies need to fight for our graduates. They actually need to offer scholarships in order to win our graduates to work in their factories. For example, Dongtai Machining, they actually donate CNC machines they use to our school so that we can train our students using their machines. And our graduates would be able to work in their factories immediately after graduation.
We've also worked with companies by forging alliances where we actually help companies solve problems that they are facing. They feel that our graduates are actually very resilient, very good at solving problems. So even at school, they can be making 40,000 new Taiwan dollars. And very often when they graduate, if they also have certain licenses or certificates, such as tunneling, this is actually digging tunnels for mass rapid transit systems, that will then give them an added advantage. So they are very competitive. I would like to echo what President Gong has said. Very often when we look at tooling and CNC, it is indeed true that students work across disciplines already. So now I would like to invite the president of Mingzi University of Science and Technology, President Liu. I wholeheartedly agree with what was just said. Soft power is actually something quite unique about our graduates. They are resilient, they work long hours, they don't complain. And I think in terms of what we have done, I think Professor Liang Youzhao is in the audience, and a decade ago, he already helped us with design thinking curriculum. So when it comes to cross-discipline thinking, actually for all freshmen, they need to take design thinking classes. This is across different departments. This means that we need to have the proper faculty. They need to be able to teach these classes. And Professor Liang, I mentioned, was so instrumental in helping us. So we are one of the first vocational schools that started with this project. And for sophomores, then they take classes in different departments. So we have consultants, outside consultants, that tell us what kind of skills are necessary that meet with industry's needs. And we heard from Chenggong High School that very often this is one of the reasons high school students are attracted to vocational colleges. We also have capstone projects where we encourage graduates together with professors to work on projects that require cooperation from different disciplines. So these are the models that we utilize. We also work with other countries. Recently, we have 3 diplomas. One has to do with AI, and the other has to do with digital marketing. And now we know what is very short. There is a huge shortage is skilled workers in semiconductor fabrication. So there is a lot of money going into nurturing this kind of talent. So I think if you look at our curriculum, you can see that it is very wide-ranging and very practical. For digital marketing, I just mentioned, it's something that's so important today. In the past, we just looked at electronics and fabrication, but today, for top-performing students, they often want to go into industrial design. So for industrial design, you really need media literacy. So this is a very new field, digital marketing. We have managed to recruit very good students, and they are actually also very good in English. And in the semiconductor courses, we know that chemical engineering and material sciences are two fields that need to work closely together in order to nurture this kind of talent. Thank you, President Liu. By hearing from our two presidents, I realized that we really need to take notes that indeed that many of these technology universities are at the cutting edge. Now I would like to ask Principal Yang of Taipei Municipal Da'an Vocational High School a question. We know that the learning portfolio is a very important part of getting into a good college. So can you please share with us, in your high school, when you talk about learning across disciplines or joining clubs, is there something that you would encourage in terms of how to come up with the most effective learning portfolio? I often ask myself, what is the difference between vocational high school and vocational colleges? With our new curriculum, we can see that there is much more flexibility for high schools. So it's very important for schools like ours to give our students a more diverse perspective. They should be able to go to different businesses and see what's happening there, not just to look at what jobs are on offer. A lot of people think that for vocational high schools, we are either nurturing technical managers or workers, that we're only focusing on technical education. That's not true. Actually, for us, what we are looking at are people who are going to be able to drive policy, because we need high-end talent. Our students will ultimately end up at vocational colleges. So for us, it's very important to make sure our students have diverse perspective. They also need to compete in different competitions. Last week, I think you saw the results of the national skills competition, and you can see how outstanding they are. Many of them can work very successfully across disciplines. So for students from Taipei Municipal Da'an Vocational High School, we participate in competitions even down in southern Taiwan. What we hope is through the experience of competing, they're able to see how other people are problem solving and how other people are collaborating with people of different disciplines. So in order to actually see problem solving in action, you really need to participate in many of these skills competition. And the last thing we try to offer our students is, a lot of people say our students know how to work with their hands but don't know how to express themselves verbally. That's going to change. Now we're trying to get students to be able to present what they are doing, that they can explain their work. We're not just asking them to do this fluently in Chinese, but also in English. For the TOEIC score, we are asking our students to be at least achieving 550 points on their TOEIC exam. So this is a very high level of English proficiency. We know that for vocational high schools, a lot of people feel that our students are not articulate. So we really hope that we can, through 3+4, 3 years of high school, 4 years of vocational university training, we can provide you with the very, very competitive person. So now with the new curriculum, the 2019 curriculum, we are stepping up efforts in terms of language fluency in English. So we believe that we are going to transform our students. We hope that when it comes to our high school students, they are going to be very distinctive. We know that a lot of colleges now have micro classes in high schools, but what we are hoping to do is offer an array of micro classes so that our students can be very well equipped for the future. Thank you. I think it doesn't matter where you go for school, but ultimately you need to be employable. So the next panelist we'd like to talk to comes from industry. We know that many fields are changing at a rapid pace. So today, in order to work, you need to be very, very quick at learning. Our next panelist, Alex Xu, is well-versed in the field of business. So from your perspective, when you're looking at talent recruitment, are you looking at soft power, hard power? What kind of talent will be appealing to you? Can you enlighten us? I think having worked in industry for a long time, I have to first own up that I'm also a graduate of this university. And I have been trying to scout talent. My own company is a Japanese listed company, and we have about 10,000 employees all over the world. And I remember a few years back, I had to scout for engineers all the way up to the general manager for big companies. And honestly, I have to apologize because in the past, we had to send a lot of our top talent overseas. And the biggest order that I received recently came from Japan. Many big companies in Japan are short on talent, so they come to Taiwan because Taiwan talent is cheap and good. So it's very, very in high demand, talents from Taiwan. Before I talk about cross-discipline collaboration, I want to talk about something that was covered last session. I have been a headhunter for over 30 years, so I have served many big companies, top companies in Taiwan, and I can guarantee, I can tell you, I have never heard somebody from HR, some manager from HR that said to me, we are looking for people from comprehensive universities. We are not going to be recruiting from vocational universities. I have never heard that view. So please don't underestimate yourself. And recently, we know that there's been a talent shortage across the board. And we often like to talk about at HR employee branding. What is employer branding? This is not a product branding. It is a branding of an employer. If you Google the phrase, you will see, wow, there's so many articles talking about employer branding in the United States because there is such a serious talent shortage. So employer branding has this function of trying to get people so that people can know the company much better, what the company stands for. So have we ever thought of doing the same for universities? What about university branding? If you Google, are you going to find the term university branding? All I'm saying is take the same concept of employer branding, product branding, and bringing it to universities. Let people know what is unique about your university. We already heard from different university presidents, but I think what we really need is more university branding. So the government has helped in some way, but I think when we talk about de facto university branding, what else is there to do to market yourself? I have a good friend. He is a doctor. He's also married to a doctor. The son is also a doctor. And one day, I went to see him. I was ill, and he told me, "My daughter is your alumni." And I said, "Oh, where is she?" And he said, "Well, in the design department of the Taipei University of Science and Technology." I was surprised because she used to be from the first girls' high school, the best high school in Taiwan, so she chose a vocational university. The father said yes, and I respected her wishes.
So no matter which school you're enrolled in, as long as the department or the major that you are choosing, that you are creating, has specialties, has expertise, I believe excellent students graduating from, leading high schools will go to your university, because we know that teenagers don't listen to their parents. They will listen to YouTubers, they will listen to influencers. So working on the branding, on university branding, you will be able to attract excellent students from different sources. Now, in terms of interdisciplinary learning, from an industry's perspective, we've been talking about interdisciplinary learning for many years. Right now, people talk about people who take multiple jobs, or the so-called gig economies, people who have a full-time job, but at the same time, they have another specialty. For example, they are very good at video gaming. So we now have people who have more than one specialty or expertise. If you look at salaries, we know that in addition to IT tech companies, investment bankers also have very high annual salaries. And we know that investment banks prefer STEM graduates. HRs, people thought that people who graduate from HR departments will become future HRs of companies. But in fact, most companies prefer graduates of STEM programs to come to their company and serve as HR managers. We also have people who specialize in HR management when they are studying their MBAs. In a lot of companies, they have the so-called Department of Administrations or Administrative Affairs. They need to be responsible for IT, procurement, general affairs, HR. These are a variety of different disciplines, all grouped together under the same department. What the industry wants is someone who knows about accounting, but at the same time knows about human resources and how to manage IT systems. This is the reality of our industry. A lot of people choose business majors because they feel that they don't like technology. But once they graduate, they suddenly find that admin, accounting, procurement, IT, they are all under the purview of the same person. They have to manage all these. I once served as a consultant for graduates of bachelor's program. Sometimes I get students' inquiry asking me about what should they do if they are not interested in their majors, that they don't want to find a job that has to do with their major. And these students do not get a lot of attention in their own departments either because they don't score well academically. But I will always tell them that what matters is what you want. You have to know your aptitude and know what kind of career you want to develop in the future. Your academic performance cannot define your future success. We know there are a lot of students who are at loss and don't know what they can do after graduating. In ITRI, we know that they are merging a lot of their research institutes. Some of the institutes that used to be in separate departments are now merging. Why is that? Because they find the need of engaging in interdisciplinary research. Material science and chemicals, these two institutes are merging in ITRI. We know this is because in practice, a lot of the research require knowledge of both disciplines. Do you have vacuum robots at home? You know that we need engineering knowledge. We also need material science knowledge. We also need EE knowledge and telecommunications knowledge in order to create a robo vacuum. So one single product like a vacuum robot, it is the result of multiple disciplines. So no matter what major you are, you cannot focus only on that expertise. You actually need to be able to engage in technical integration. That's what companies need. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Xu. I think Mr. Xu has given us very important insights about merging different expertise, merging different departments. Maybe in the future, we need to merge the expertise of different schools so that we can collaborate on specialty programs. So second round of questions for our panelists. The first question is for President Gong of Zhengzhou University. We know that the school mobilizes a lot of resources and reshuffles its organization in courses, teaching staff, and curriculum in order to create a diverse learning environment. But what matters is the student's own motivation to engage in interdisciplinary learning. So I would like to ask President Gong to share with us, how do you encourage your students to develop diverse skill sets and engage in interdisciplinary learning? I would like to approach this question from two aspects. First of all, we need to start with the teachers. Teachers need to engage in interdisciplinary learnings as well. So we have encouraged our teachers to create different learning clubs or study groups. So for example, digital music. We have teachers who have organized a digital music community, and they have hired an award-winning musician to come to their community and teach them how to work on digital music production. So our teachers have organized 24 of different learning communities like this one. For students, we are providing a lot of incentives for students who engage in interdisciplinary learnings. For students who excel in interdisciplinary learning, they can receive award money as high as 20,000 NT dollars, because we know that they are investing extra time and effort in order to engage in this kind of study. So we would like to reward them. We believe these incentives can help students to engage in interdisciplinary learning. We also launch, for example, special courses for projects so that students engage in the production of, for example, posters that exhibit their research. We also encourage students to exhibit their work and their production in, for example, digital imaging or in fashion design. We also encourage students from different departments to support each other to facilitate their graduation exhibition. So this kind of support is also a hands-on opportunity for students to practice their skills and engage in interdisciplinary collaboration. The next question is for President Liu from Mingzhi University of Science and Technology. I think a lot of schools are envious of you because you are able to provide a one-year-long internship program for your students. This is a very extensive time for immersive experiences in the industry. So I would like to ask about more details about your internship program and also the in-school curriculums that work with these internship programs. We have been talking about university branding. We know that we are investing a lot of resources on this. We have 900 new students every year, and we need to find an internship placement for all of them. So a lot of times, chairmen of deans of departments and schools will come to us and say that they want to increase the number of recruitments. But I would always tell them, you need to make sure that you are able to find new internship placement opportunities before you do so. So this is our commitment to our students. 900 new students every year. Of course, we will lose some in the process. They may withdraw from their studies. But we know that for those who make it to the fourth year, we would give them an internship placement opportunity during the fourth year of study. We know that 30% of them will work in our industries, and we know that these students are still in learning process. So we know that we need to give them opportunities to learn. Even if they don't perform well in these internship placements, this will not affect their graduation. And 30% of our students actually take their internship in Formosa Plastics. We also have a so-called course roadmap for each of our students. For instance, if a student is planning to work as a IC design engineer, then they have to follow a certain course map in order to lead to that result. This one-year internship is an addition to existing programs, meaning that they still have to take 128 credits before they can graduate. So for our students, they have to spend extra time during summer and winter vacation in order to finish all these courses. Before they go on to internships, they have to also receive, for example, safety education and gender equality education. They have to pass these education and training before they can enter into our internship matching platform. We work with more than 100 companies to provide internship placement opportunities. And it's a process of companies choosing good students, but at the same time, good students choosing good companies. So during the internship program, students can continue to receive instructions from their homeroom teacher, We also have a counselor at school who would work with the students who are taking the internship as well as the company. I know that sometimes students choose a company for the wrong reason, but this is when counselors need to come into the picture and try to make sure that the result goes well. A lot of companies are in shortage of labor supply. So for excellent students, there will be companies who are willing to provide them with scholarship so that they can finish their studies and become full-time employees of that company. Last year, we received 65 different real-world cases from our collaborating companies so that these cases can be used as PBL cases in our courses. So this is another benefit that we get from collaboration with the industry. After finishing the internship, each department needs to choose 12 students who will exhibit their internship results for a competition. Winning students will receive extra rewards. In these competitions, we invite first-year and second-year students to listen to these alumni's experiences and learn from them.
There is one company that is a modeling company. It doesn't offer very, very attractive wages, but a lot of students want to go and intern there because it is a very unique company. It is a company that is very, very specialized. So if you're interested in that field, this is definitely a company to intern at. So you don't need to offer very attractive pay. Even at eTree, we see they don't offer very attractive pay, but a lot of students like to go to eTree because if your paper is accepted by eTree, then that means that you will be able to probably qualify for the Taipei University of Science and Technology, this university. I have to say that many of our graduates come to this university. After the internship, we still have another system in place where we want the business where the student interned at to recommend which students did really, really well, that you applaud their efforts. And if they are recommended by these enterprises, we are going to give them additional incentives. Last year, we also had 36 cross-discipline credits. This is specially targeted at students in the senior year. Because it's senior year, it's right before graduation, perhaps there's something they're still really hoping to learn from. So we make that available to them as well. So in recent years, we have additional credits that you can take to expand your worldview, to become more diverse. So I think if you look at our internship program, you will see that our graduates are very successful in finding employment opportunities, and employers are very happy with their performance. Thank you. I think from this lengthy sharing, we know that they have indeed done so much in the area of fostering graduates. Now I would like to ask our Taipei Municipal Da'an Vocational High School. Today, when we're looking at our students, we hope that they can be more consistent, both in terms of knowing a lot about working in a team and also having the right technical knowledge. So today we can see that there are people from industry, academia, and government. So many people would feel that, oh, there is a lot of potential in this business. So let me enroll my child in a vocational college. However, what we're seeing today is not reality, because very often people only see me. They don't see all the resources that are behind the scenes. So if vocational colleges work by themselves, they're standalone, then you are not going to be able to have bargaining power. Today, we know that people are not looking at how well ranked your school is. Rather, they're choosing vocational universities because they're very clear about what they want to study and what they want to do in the future. So we hope that for high schools and colleges, we can forge an alliance. Today, if there is going to be a recruitment job fair in Taipei City and we can all be present, I think then parents can see the whole chain, the future prospects. Parents will feel more secure in recommending the vocational education specialization. So it's important for us to link together. I also hope that industry can join forces with us. A lot of times, parents care about employability, and it's important for representatives from industry to join us, even from the high school level, for them to join us. In Taipei, there are 7 vocational high schools. We call ourselves the 7 vocational stars. Today, whenever we go to an industry, we go together as a team. We want to show parents that the vocational high school system works as a team. We do not work standalone. So we really hope that for students who come to vocational high schools, they feel well supported. They can see how supported and resourceful these schools are. In that way, I think parents can feel at ease when they have when they give their kids over to us. Today, we also offer a very diverse range of courses. We are not just sitting in the classroom. We have many hands-on classrooms. And we know the importance of hands-on experience. And I'm sure when it comes to vocational universities, they are also looking at how they can do more in exposure and hands-on experience. So I really feel like if we are able to link together and unite together, we will then be able to recruit more students. We will be able to send out the message to society at large that vocational education is a very, very exciting and hopeful area. And we can go together to junior high schools. There are so many students in junior high schools. They're thinking about what to do with their lives. They're curious about whether vocational training, vocational education is interesting. So we really hope, together with industry, we can say loud and clear, vocational education is excellent. Thank you. We are only going to leave 5 minutes now to Managing Director Alex Xu, because time is really of the essence. So one final question. Right now, we know the high-tech industry is changing at a very rapid pace. So schools are trying to also revise their curriculum accordingly. So Managing Director Xu, do you have any suggestions about what students should focus on as they look towards the future? I'm really interested in one of the questions that was asked before. So I'm going to answer that first. You may be wondering what happened to the girl I mentioned that went to a vocational university. She is working at a design firm in Scandinavia. So I think this is a great spokesperson for university branding. There's so many presidents of vocational universities here. And I remember for the Taipei University of Science and Technology, many of the general managers of listed companies in Taiwan, at least I think a dozen of them have graduates from here or are graduates from here. So if we can take graduates from vocational universities and calculate who is head of HR or who is managing director of a listed company and use them as spokespersons so that parents can see, hey, did you know that so-and-so who's heading a company of a so-called market cap actually came from this vocational university. I'm sure many parents are not aware of this. To let them know that the founders and top managers of these companies come from vocational universities, that is very effective university branding. Okay, back to the question for me. What is a core technology that every field requires? Today, we know you have to know IT, regardless of whether you're doing material engineering or even if you graduated from the Department of Literature or the humanities or the arts, you have to know about information technology. Today, IT is everywhere. You cannot just focus on basic labor law or just focus on language or literature, because you will come across maybe software engineers and you need to speak a common language. So today, it doesn't matter if you are in machinery engineering or any field, you have to be well versed in IT. Many years ago, the head of Citibank Global said, Citibank is not a financial service. In the future, we are going to be an IT company that sells financial products. So it considers itself an IT company. So it doesn't matter what line of work you do in the future. You have to know about software. You have to know about MIS. Of course, you don't need to know it in great depth. So I think this is very important. As for what's going to be relevant in the future, I have to say the power of alumni. I really feel that this university is incredible because the alumni network, we know that this university compared with other science and technology universities is quite new. But the alumni network is so strong. If you look at President Yan, as well as previous presidents, they are so dedicated to the school. My wife has complained that your alma mater is holding networking events all the time. So I really feel that the presidents have a lot to take care of. We can see other universities are not as active, whereas at this university, every region, every district has a very strong alumni network. You can see from online communities that President Yan is in China, he's in Shanghai, networking with alumni. So I think the power of alumni networks cannot be underestimated. I heard that other networks, alumni networks, are not as cohesive as ours. Many of you here may be graduates from National Taiwan University. And you may think, well, we're the best of the best. But for people who went to science and technology universities, we need to rely on our alumni networks. We need to be leveraging these resources. And we are not just talking about donating funds. We're talking about more opportunities to work with industry, more opportunities for internship. Alumni are just really happy to help. Even in terms of input in teaching, many graduates are happy to come back and advise their other students what was very useful to them. So the president of Mingzi University of Science and Technology mentioned that this is something unique about vocational education, the alumni power, and I think we should leverage that.
包括这除了校友的力量，我觉得。
In addition to the power of alumni, I think you also need to look at human resource departments in different companies. You could see that you would probably always see HR managers from companies in May during job fairs in different universities. I remember that many years ago, I sent about 100 emails out to different HR managers and asking them to provide internships for university students. I only received 7 replies. 5 of them are international companies. Only 2 of them were domestic companies. That was 15 years ago. The situation is completely reversed. Companies are writing me to ask me to find students to intern in their companies. And it's the students who don't want to go to these companies for internship anymore. You know, in Japan, internship positions do not have any pay. For Taiwanese students, this is unacceptable. A lot of people believe that it's the responsibilities of schools, of parents, to get students educated and to develop their skills. However, I think companies need to take big responsibilities in the cultivation of skills and talents. I always tell HR managers when I meet them that they need to take more responsibilities in cultivating talents. I remember that in 1997, I worked in the Shanghai office of our company. And companies I met there told me that they have to pay schools to get graduates to work in their companies. I was very shocked by what I heard. And these companies had to pay because schools tell them, hey, it's the schools who are investing all these resources to cultivate these great talents for you. So companies should pay schools to get graduates to work for them. This makes sense, right? And I also know that in France, it's the government who would consolidate all the internship opportunities and allow French graduates to take overseas internships. Right now, we also have a lot of Japanese companies who are offering internships for Taiwanese students. We also have Taiwanese offices of Japanese companies offering internships for Japanese students. Okay, so we are definitely running out of time, so we have to close this session here. But I would like to give my special thanks to all the panelists for your interesting insights. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you all the panelists for your contribution. Let's move towards the center of our stage for a group photo. Indeed, okay, let's take a group photo. Indeed, as what I have discussed in this panel, we need to work together so that we can create more opportunities for vocational education system in Taiwan. We are confident that after today's panel, vocational universities and schools will find more topics for collaboration to improve our overall reputation and image in our society. We are now moving on to the third section of the day. In the previous discussions, we have talked about the importance of adopting international perspectives. Today, in our conference, we also offer simultaneous interpretation services, although all of the discussions here are done in Mandarin Chinese. However, we also know the importance of globalization and internationalization. We know that there may be international audiences who are listening online and also international students who are here on site. That's why we are offering simultaneous interpretation services today. In this section, we are going to talk about adopting international perspectives to forge a sustainable future. The first speaker of this section is President Liu Guowei of Mingxin University of Science and Technology. Let's welcome him to the stage.
校长。
好，是啊，各位同业工会的，要讲要。
Ladies and gentlemen, actually, if we really want to go into in-depth discussion, we can talk about these topics for 5 days, but it's impossible. So I will try to consolidate what I would like to share with you. We know that industries in Taiwan are having very good business nowadays, and they are in labor shortage. Almost every company is complaining about labor shortage. And actually, Taiwan is launching long-term retention of migrant workers schemes, and we know that in Hsinchu, a lot of factories are in serious labor shortage issue. A lot of universities are talking about recruiting international students because we have lower number of students, and I think companies are faced with the same problem as well. And how do people look at us? What's, international community's perception of Taiwan? When people think of Taiwan, people think of TSMC. Actually, in Hsinchu, there is an alliance of victims of TSMC. Everyone is complaining that graduates work in TSMCs and they're not going to other companies. But even TSMC is complaining about labor shortage. So as vocational universities, science and technology university, what can we do? What can we do for these companies? What can we do to solve their human resource shortage? They cannot find talents here in Taiwan, so they are outreaching to overseas destinations for talents. So what can we do for them? What can the government do for them? We know that the government is launching a long-term retention of migrant worker program so that we can keep more migrant workers here in Taiwan. We try to emphasize how friendly Taiwan is so that we can attract more international students to study and then stay to work in Taiwan. We want to let everybody know that Taiwan is so friendly. And all of these are efforts for solving our company's labor shortage problem. Our government has also launched a new southbound policy, and I think for a good reason. Let's now look at the number of international students in Taiwan. Because of the low birth rate, we have lower number of domestic students. However, in recent years, we are seeing an increase of international students, even during the years when COVID-19 was the most rampant. These are statistics of students from new southbound countries. You can see a list of these countries, and you can see that these happen to be countries where a lot of Taiwanese businesses have production locations. So we, as vocational universities here in Taiwan, need to take up the responsibility to cultivate talents for these businesses, both domestic and abroad. So in our university, we have done a lot to respond to companies' labor shortage issue. Mingxin University is located in Hsinchu, so a lot of our graduates will work in IT companies. And that is also why most international students in our school enrolled in the Semiconductor School and College of Engineering of our university. The topic of my talk today is globalization and localization, and I try to emphasize the interconnection between the global markets and the local markets. So you can see that in recent years, we have established our semiconductor school. We are working on recruiting students from new southbound countries, and you could see 100% of our graduates from our industry academia collaboration program find a full-time job in an IT company. We also have the so-called contract-based industry-oriented degree program, including for bachelor's degree and master's degree. I won't go into the details here, but what we are trying to do is to create a triple wing model. Instead of focusing only on recruitment of students, recruitment of international students, we also need to think about how can I help these children with a better career? Because we are located in Hsinchu. We are very close to the industries who need these talents. I think with this kind of spirit, international students would definitely feel that Taiwan is a good location for seeking a degree, because in addition to learning the most advanced knowledge and skills, this is also a great location for career development. I think what we are trying to do may be able to alleviate the impact of low birth rates on the source of semiconductor talents, and it may help change the atmosphere of neglecting engineering education in recent years. And I hope this can be done in a faster way. And we can also see that with our effort, our enrollment performance has been greatly improved. And our effort also help to increase the international visibility of our school as well as Taiwan's industry as a whole. We are receiving great demand for employees from the industry, from the companies. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation today. Thank you, President Liu. We will now move on to our panel. I would like to now welcome President Zheng Daoming from Chaoyang University and Vice President Liu of NTUST and Mandy Tsai from Chicone Electronics, Mr. Zhang Jiayu from the Department of Electrical Engineering of NTUST. I would also like to welcome President Chen from Xinyi University as our moderator today. Director General Yang, President Yan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This section focuses on adopting international perspectives to forge a sustainable future. We know that we live in a globalized world, and we have a lot of international companies having their production base here in Taiwan, recruiting and employing Taiwanese employees, and vice versa. Taiwanese companies also has their footprints in international markets and employ international talents. If in Taiwan, we would like to create new opportunities for vocational education, we need to make sure that we have a variety of different talents. They will engage in different types of work when they graduate. So in a technical and technology university, we want to create an environment for cultivating global views. We need to have appropriate teaching staff and also the facilities and infrastructure to cultivate these global views and to make sure that this type of education is sustainable.
So for this session, we are going to be talking to several presidents. I mentioned the importance of the larger environment, and we would like to start with President Liu. How does Mingxing University of Science and Technology forge its internationalization? I think today you can see that English fluency is very, very important. So for TSMC or semiconductor industry, if you go into these businesses, you will see that English becomes very, very important. For many students who are at vocational high schools, very often they've given up on English. But later they realize that English is so practical and useful, they actually pick it up again. So this is the interesting thing about our industry and academia alliance. What about our next speaker? Can you talk a little bit about the Taiwan University of Science and Technology? I think for us, what we're hoping to have are talents that are very, very balanced. On the one hand, they are competitive locally, but they are also able to serve as a bridge internationally. So I think EMI is very important. However, language is just a way of communication. For us, what's even more important is whether you're in the cafeteria or in the dormitory or in the lab, you can have many foreign students alongside working together with you. Even when you're playing ball, you're talking to each other in different kinds of accented English. We also have a Muslim community at our university where we actually even offer food that's tailor-made to this community. So we have created an international campus. Students are immersed in a very local but also very international environment. So I think this is a very natural way of allowing students to have respect for different ethnic groups, different cultures, different norms, different religions. I think this is a very practical way of making internationalization part of your everyday life. So I think EMI is definitely important for vocational universities. We need to think about how we can share resources in this area. And this year, my university is thinking about taking our EMI experience and helping vocational high schools. We can let these highly ranked vocational high schools understand the importance of English so that earlier on, before they come to university, they're already stepping up their English fluency. I think my university, Chaoyang University of Science and Technology, is also very well versed in this area. So can you talk a little bit about what you are doing? I think the most important thing is still people. We have many foreign students who come from Southeast Asian countries, and very often their English is also not that good. So it's important for us to find people who are from English-speaking countries or teachers from English-speaking countries. Only they will be able to improve the level of English across the board, because we know we need better conversation skills. So even with administrative departments, they need to start speaking English. So it needs to be part of our culture. If you just allow this to happen organically, you will see that a lot of students may speak English in class, but when they are by themselves with their friends, they don't speak English. So it's very important for you to make it part of the culture. We have Culture Week, where we learn about different countries, and we also have many clubs that involve different cultures, and even teacher clubs. Like next week, we are going to have our international faculty and local faculty go hiking together. Many local professors are afraid to speak English, but we are forcing them to speak English. We have another event where we invite foreign students to experience Taiwan by foot. And we have many volunteers who are local students. So very organically, we can see the cultures will merge together. Also, we have a postdoc program that has very attractive scholarship. And a lot of postdoc students, they come from abroad. They come and they get to know local students who are here for 5 years. And they will create their own social groups. We have another endeavor where we invited Indonesian students to form their own choir. And some students from Southeast Asia are very good at playing football, so they can form their own football team. So on campus, it's very important to build the right atmosphere. So this concludes what we are doing in our university. So we can see that it's so important to forge a international campus. And now we have someone from industry to talk to us. We know Ms. Mandy Tsai. She is from Chickeny Electronics. So when you are recruiting international talent, what are you looking at? What's important to you? I want to thank the organizers. And I also have to say that I'm also alumni. Yeah, so you can see we are indeed all from the same network. I think when we talk about internationalization, we can tackle it in two aspects. One is students that we have who are from abroad, and they can help us at home. And I think the other area is Taiwanese students who need to internationalize. So in this instance, I think in my company, probably less than 10% are completely fluent in English. I asked my VP to do a calculation. In our high-level managers, how many come from this university? And 70% actually come from science and technology universities. What does this mean? What do these numbers mean? It means that when it comes to international, it comes to English fluency, we are still lagging behind. We have incredible technological and technical abilities and skills, but we're unable to truly express and be articulate in English. I myself, I've never studied abroad. I didn't have the opportunity. So when I was here studying in grad school, the one subject I failed was actually English, and I had to redo that year. So my English is really, really poor, but I want to talk about my own story. I had an opportunity to join Texas Instruments. It's a company in Texas. And when I went in, I was very, very skilled technically. But when I had to deliver and present what I had designed, I wasn't able to express myself. I would often use Chinese. And later, I joined a lot of cram schools, English cram schools, but it didn't really help me. So my transformation came because I went to Dallas for 3 months. Texas Instruments sent me, and those 3 months was where my English proficiency grew by leaps and bounds. After those 3 months, I could actually understand what ICRT was talking about. So I am a good testament to the possibility to master a language. I went through 3 months abroad, and my English was really poor, and my English improved. So this is a case in point. I also want to tell another story. 5 years ago, I also interviewed a student from this university, and many of my clients are from the United States. So I asked the student, how is your English? If you come into our company, you need to do a written test and an oral test. And I saw that he had scored 400 points, which is not very good. So I gave the student a suggestion. I said, if you really want to improve your English, and you've already had a long career, why don't you take some time and invest in your English? Try and improve it. At the time, there was a language school in the Philippines. It took 6 months. And I knew that all it took for me was 3 months immersion in another country to improve. So this person took my advice. A year later, I saw this person's CV again. He came for an interview, and now his TOEIC score was up to 800 points. He has now worked for me for over 3 years, and he is servicing Amazon, an American client. So simply put, I think we really need to create a complete 100% English environment. It cannot be a partial English environment. You really need to overhaul the entire campus by giving this immersion. Only then will you be able to improve the output. So this is pertinent to my own experience. I suffered from poor English for over a decade. So later on, I was able to benefit from better English. And when I worked for an American company, I was able to talk about my design with other engineers at Texas Instruments. My English was completely proficient. And here at Chickeny Electronics, I have used English to deal with customers such as Google and Amazon. I personally went and marketed to them, presented to them. So your language skills will only help you in the job place. It is such a vital tool. So when you talk about internationalization, you cannot overlook the importance of English proficiency. Of course, it's very important to go outside of the box. Secondly, we know that we are trying to recruit more Southeast Asian students to Taiwan. 3 years ago, I went to Thailand to set up a factory. And I remember coming to this university and asking them if they had Thai students that I could recruit. There were very few. But now I see the proportion has increased considerably. I took a look that there was 20% of the students came from Malaysia, and Vietnam probably is the place with the most amount of students. And then the other countries, they only have a small proportion, unfortunately. But in 2018, due to tariff challenges in the United States, many Taiwanese businesses have moved into Southeast Asia, and many of them are focused in Vietnam and Thailand. So my personal suggestion is, I'm from the demand side. I think it's very important to focus on Thailand, Thai students. Maybe you're not marketing aggressively enough. Many Thai students aren't coming to Taiwan, but there is a huge need, a huge demand. It's going to be really useful if we have more Vietnamese and Thai students.
Thank you, Ms. Tsai. When we are creating the so-called global views for our students, the education in English proficiency is still the most important. Now I want to turn to NTUST, our Mr. Zhang Jiayou. He is actually a senior in the Department of Electrical Engineering of NTUST. So I would like to ask him about his experiences of improving his own English proficiency, because he graduated from a vocational high schools, and usually we know that students in vocational high schools receive fewer hours of English teaching. Thank you. I think what I have heard from our fellow panelists correspond with my own experience. Why is it that most vocational school students feel frustrated about learning English? This is because they don't know what they can use English for. I grew up in Chiayi, and everybody think of English as a subject at school. It's a subject where I need to score high scores so that I can get into better schools. For me, it's because I like playing video games, and the games I like don't have a translated version. So I have to learn English in order to play this video game. And this gave me extra motivation to learn English. In terms of speaking, in NTUST, there is a club called International Affairs Club. In this club, domestic students and international students can engage in cultural exchanges. International students will come to this club and share with us their own cultures, and we will have the opportunity to converse in English. So this is a great opportunity for us to practice speaking skills. I also make learning English part of my everyday life. I have a lot of different hobbies. So I would look for English materials that teaches me about these different skills. For example, juggling. I like juggling. So I would find some overseas resources that talk about juggling skills. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang. Starting from 2017, our Ministry of Education has been promoting the opening of special programs for Southeastern Asian country students. I would like to now turn to Minxin University. We know that you actually have attracted the highest number of degree-seeking international students of all vocational universities in Taiwan. Can you share with us your tips? I think when we create these so-called academia-industry collaboration program, the most important thing is that we need to hear the needs. We need to understand the needs of industries and companies. We need to reverse engineer these demands and needs to design our curriculums and courses to develop these skills. So what can I do for you? That is always our central spirit. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to turn to Chaoyang University. Chaoyang University actually has very good international ranking. Can we ask President Zheng from Chaoyang University to share with us their work and success in achieving international collaboration? Thank you. I know that we are running out of time, so I will speak faster today. We know that we always have to finish the class on time so that we will receive positive rating from our students. So we know that in a school, we need to make sure that we have international teachers, students, as well as a globalized environment. Our goal is to have 20% of our students from overseas destinations, and we are still working on that. We also want to have at least 10% of our teaching staff who are from overseas countries. So we are still working towards that goal. Every year, we are also sending students for short-term programs to our overseas sister schools. We also want to create international communities in our schools so that international and domestic students can exchange different ideas and to have opportunities to practice English conversation. A lot of people would question, why would international schools be interested in collaborating with a Taiwanese school? I think it's very important that we take inventory of our own strength to improve our academic ranking so that international schools will see the strength in us and will be interested in engaging in a collaboration with us. When Chaoyang was established, we began as a vocational school. So we already have, we have accumulated a lot of alumni who are very strong in special skills and in their hands-on abilities. So when we engage in international collaboration, we don't only look at academic research and collaboration. We will also look at opportunities where we respond to industry needs and demands. So I think this is important. We need to understand what's our forte. We also issue 2 international journals. These international journals are included in Scope Index. And we are also applying to be included in the SIE Index. These are all efforts to increase our impact and our influence in the international community. We are also providing a lot of incentives to encourage our teachers and students to engage in international collaboration. We are also using the SDG goals as the overarching framework for our school's mission and policies. I believe by doing so, our students will have better sense of what SDGs are, and they will be aligned with different companies' goals and visions in SDGs. So these are some of the efforts that we are engaged in so that we can cultivate international perspectives for our students and teachers. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to congratulate Chaoyang University for achieving such good ranking internationally. Now, the MOE is also promoting USR, University Social Responsibility. How do we practice USR in the international community? I would like to invite Vice President Liu of NTUST to share with us their effort and achievement in this respect. Thank you, President Chen. First of all, I would like to thank the MOE for giving us generous subsidies for our USR program. We've been discussing this issue for the whole afternoon. We have been discussing topics on how to break through the old framework to think outside of the box. And USR, international USR practices, is one of the means for us to think outside of the box. I have participated in NTUST's International USR program for more than 6 years. And through this program, I have met many energetic students and innovative students from Vietnam. In this program, we recruit students from the design department and engineering department so that they engage in, for example, virtual conferences with Vietnamese students. They would each introduce their own culture, their hometown, and during summer and winter vacation, we send our students to, for example, Mekong River or to different villages in Vietnam to visit these Vietnamese students and see what their skill sets can do to contribute to the improvement of these Vietnamese students' living environment. Of course, in this process, they need to communicate in English. This is also a good way for them to think about how to turn their skills into actual benefits for a community. Thank you. Thank you, Vice President Liu. We know that a lot of universities are engaging in USR in Taiwan, but this is an international USR program, which is very unique. I would like to now turn to Mandy Tsai from Chicony. From the industry's perspective, can you share with us what are some of the skills and traits that companies need for talents who can go global? Thank you. I have been working in electronics R&D for more than 20 years before I moved on to Chicony. I think technical capability is very important, but what you learn at school is still a little bit different from what you need to do in the industry. There's still a gap. I studied in NTUST for a master's degree. So I have a first-hand experience on the differences between comprehensive universities and vocational universities. And I think the biggest difference is that you can definitely develop mastery in hands-on skills in a vocational university. I've been talking to different presidents here. Actually, we have several employees who graduated from Minshing University as well. I work for a for-profit company. So, of course, we are looking for profits and value creation in all of our employees. And we have found that actually, when we have 2-year internship program, that benefits companies more because usually when you only have a 1-year internship, it's the company who's paying more in the process. With 2-year or even 3-year internship program, these students can create more values for the companies that they intern for. So I think it's important that companies and schools have better connections and better alignment with the need and the lessons that we are teaching these students. About 10 years ago, I met some people who work in an international company in the United States. And I could see that they probably did not grow up in America. I realized that they were actually Israelis. And they told me that they were working in the United States because their university has a 3-year internship program as a requirement for graduation. And their universities also has a lot of collaboration with US companies. So I think in vocational universities, we need to forge closer and stronger relationship with companies and industries. Vocational universities are providing special programs that involve internship as a permanent fixture. Our company is also working with the Taipei University of Science and Technology to provide scholarships for students so that these graduate students can study for their graduate degree while they work in our company. We will be able to make sure that the research they do resolves real-life problems in the industry. So I think the vocational schools are working towards the right goal and direction, but I think we need more schools to establish these strong collaborations with the industry in order to benefit more students and differentiate the value of vocational schools even more. And I believe that can create a win-win outcome. Thank you. Indeed, a few months ago, a Taiwanese businessman who has a company in Detroit came to me and said that they want to recruit Taiwanese interns to work in their companies, and he's willing to pay a monthly salary of 40,000 NT dollars. So I think this is a great opportunity for our students.
And now we'd like to ask Mr. Chang, our student representative. You have a background in vocational training, and you have had an international exchanges. So can you share, in conclusion, some words of encouragement for people who are still at vocational universities? How can they expand their international perspective? I think it's very important for us to have the language ability, because today, of course, you can take a lot of Chinese and throw it into ChatGPT or Google Translate. But you will see that the speed is still not as fast as you want it, and also it doesn't translate into fluency, spoken fluency. So it's very important to improve your spoken English. At the same time, I think it's very important if you have English proficiency to work together collaboratively with foreign students and to explain what you're doing and what your ideals are and how you can be more competitive. So for people who are students in vocational universities, I want to tell you that technically you are already set up and you have all the resources you need. But when it comes to language skills, you should spend more time improving your English so that this can be a very good complement to your technical skills. I think that is going to be of immense benefit to you. Thank you very much for those words. My parents, actually for my, I've often worked with SMEs in the Taichung area, and many of them mentioned that they were able to go to Central and South America and conduct business transactions without speaking a word of English. So they used body language to make themselves understood. So during those days, you need to have guts. Of course, today they can all speak really good English. So I think it's important right now to encourage people to take that first step, to have the courage to start learning English and improving English. Thank you. So this was a section about forging international connections, how we can move towards sustainability, and we must make sure that we're not lagging behind the rest of the world. Thank you. Once again, we want to thank our 6 panelists. Please stand up and let's take a group photograph. We want to remember the session. So we want to thank all 6 panelists. Thank you for giving such wonderful insights about how we can forge international connections. And our student representative was amazing. He wasn't afraid, sitting alongside presidents and general managers. He was very confident. So we can see, even from science and technology universities, we have such outstanding students. Thank you. Please take your seats. So this concludes the 2023 Future Technical and Vocational Education Forum. We hope we have provided a lot of food for thought and that there is room for more exchange and consensus building. We also have a QR code on the screen. Please scan it and fill in our questionnaire. Once again, thank you all for your attendance. we want to thank all of our presidents as well as Director General Yang. We also have a small lunchbox for you to take home. So let us think outside of the box and create more opportunities. Thank you.